The alien observation fleet moved slowly through the forbidden region of space, a place no young civilization was allowed to enter. This area was quiet, dark, and heavy with ancient radiation from wars long forgotten. The alien fleet had come here many times before. They were not afraid. They were watchers, scientists, and judges of rising species. They had studied hundreds of worlds, analyzed countless civilizations, and ended many before they could become threats. To them, fear was a memory, not a feeling. Their ships were massive and advanced, glowing with controlled energy and perfect formation. Every system worked in flawless harmony. The commanders sat calmly, reviewing data streams and star charts, confident and relaxed. This was routine work. Nothing new ever happened in this region. That was when one of the scanners detected something unexpected. A single object drifted silently near the edge of a dead star's gravity field. At first, the aliens thought it was space debris. Then the shape became clear. It was a ship. A human ship. Silence filled the command deck for a brief moment. Then laughter echoed through the chamber. The ship was alone. No escort. No fleet. No defense perimeter. Its hull looked old and worn, covered in dark burn marks and deep scratches. Parts of its outer armor were mismatched, repaired with different metals and designs. It looked outdated, almost forgotten. One alien commander leaned forward and laughed openly. "This is Earth's vessel," he said with amusement. "They send this into forbidden space." Another mocked, "It looks like it barely survived its last journey. Humans truly are desperate." They had heard stories about humanity. Loud, emotional, aggressive, but weak. A young species that survived more by luck than intelligence. The aliens had expected something more impressive. Instead, they found a lonely, damaged ship drifting like a lost relic. The Council decided to scan it. Not as a threat, but as research. Human technology was still considered primitive compared to theirs. Studying this ship would be useful. Maybe even entertaining. Energy beams reached out from the alien fleet, wrapping around the human vessel in a soft blue scanning field. The scan began slowly, carefully mapping the ship's structure, power levels, and internal systems. Everything seemed normal for the first few seconds. Then something strange happened. One of the sensor officers frowned. "Command. I'm seeing a delay," he said. Another replied, confused, "That's impossible. Our systems are perfectly synchronized." A second later, the delay increased. Data arrived out of order. Sensor echoes returned twice, then 3 times, like the ship was reflecting information back in unfamiliar ways. The scanners tried to adjust automatically, but the corrections failed. Laughter faded. The commanders watched their displays closely now. Timestamps no longer matched. Distance calculations shifted slightly, then more sharply. The human ship still did nothing. No movement. No weapons charged. No communication sent. It just floated there. One alien whispered, "Why is it not responding?" Another answered, uneasy, "Perhaps it is damaged beyond function." But then the scanners detected something new. The human ship was not transmitting any signal. Not even background noise. Instead, it was absorbing everything. Every scan, every energy pulse, every calculation sent toward it was being received and processed. "It's listening," one officer said quietly. A cold silence spread across the deck. The alien commanders exchanged glances. Ships always responded in some way when scanned. Even damaged ones leaked energy or reflected signals. This ship did neither. It accepted the scans perfectly, too perfectly. Then the sensor echoes changed again. The reflections now carried structure, patterns, adjustments. It was as if the human ship was not just being scanned, but was scanning back. "That's not possible," a commander said sharply. "Human technology cannot process data at that speed." Another officer spoke, voice tense. "Command, our own system parameters are being mapped. It's copying our scan structure." The human ship still did not move. It did not threaten. It did not defend. It learned. Internal systems across the alien fleet began acting strangely. Minor delays became noticeable pauses. Targeting systems recalculated without command. Navigation displays flickered for half a second, then stabilized. The laughter was gone now. One elder leaned forward slowly. "Stop the scan," he ordered. The command was sent. Nothing happened. The scanning field remained active. The alien systems no longer had full control. The human ship had adjusted to the scan frequency and locked into it. Fear crept quietly into the room. Not panic. Not yet. Just a heavy awareness that something was wrong. Very wrong. The human vessel's hull lights flickered once. A small change, almost invisible. Sensors detected internal power redistribution. Systems that had appeared inactive moments ago were waking up. Not violently. Calmly. Purposefully. One officer whispered, "It's not reacting." Another finished the sentence, voice low. "It's preparing." The Alien Council realized the truth too late. This ship was not lost. It was not outdated. It was not weak. The damage on its hull was not decay, it was history. Battles survived. Wars endured. The human ship had entered forbidden space for a reason. And now, surrounded by laughing observers, it had finished learning. The laughter that once filled the alien command deck was replaced by silence. Heavy. Fearful. Absolute. The alien command deck stayed silent for several long seconds after the human ship systems woke up. No alarms screamed yet. No weapons fired. That silence was worse than noise. Every officer felt it pressing on their thoughts. The human vessel still floated calmly, its broken hull glowing faintly as internal systems continued to activate one by one. Power readings climbed slowly but steadily, like a sleeping giant opening its eyes without hurry. The senior commander ordered a full diagnostic on their own fleet. The response came back incomplete. Some systems answered late. Others sent conflicting data. Nothing was fully broken, but nothing felt fully under control either. This confused the officers more than open failure would have. Their technology was supposed to be flawless. It had never behaved like this before. One sensor officer noticed a strange detail. The human ship's power signature was changing shape, not increasing wildly, but reorganizing itself. It was optimizing. Adjusting perfectly to the alien scan frequencies, alien math, alien logic. It was learning faster than expected. Much faster. Human systems do not adapt this quickly, an officer said, trying to keep his voice steady. They shouldn't, another replied quietly. The elder council member finally spoke again. His voice was slower now, careful. This vessel is not a scout. It is not lost. It is here on purpose. That idea sent a chill across the room. If the ship was here intentionally, then it had expected contact. It had expected observers. Maybe it had even expected them. The alien fleet attempted to pull back. Engines powered up. Navigation commands were sent. The ships responded, but with delay. A fraction of a second at first, then more. Space around them felt thick, like moving through unseen resistance. The human ship had not fired a single weapon. It did not need to. Gravity sensors spiked suddenly. Not enough to crush hulls, but enough to disturb formation. The alien ships drifted slightly out of alignment, forcing constant micro-corrections. Their perfect formation was breaking. One commander slammed his clawed hand on the console. Is it controlling gravity? No direct emissions detected, the officer replied, voice shaking. It's influencing local space indirectly. The realization was terrifying. The human ship was not overpowering them. It was guiding them. Nudging systems, shaping outcomes, letting the aliens exhaust themselves trying to regain control. Inside the human vessel, ancient systems continued to wake. No living crew moved through its halls. This ship did not need hands. It remembered its creators. Humanity had built it for one reason only, to survive alone, no matter how long it waited. Memory banks opened. Battle data from lost wars streamed through dormant processors. Enemy species long extinct. Fleets erased from history. The ship compared those memories with the alien fleet surrounding it now. The match was close enough. On the alien deck, alarms finally began to sound. Low-level warnings. Power inconsistencies. Navigation drift. Communication lag. Still no direct attack. That thing is playing with us, one officer whispered. The elder did not deny it. He stared at the image of the human ship, now glowing faintly along hidden lines beneath its scarred hull. No, he said. It is deciding. A sudden pulse moved through space. Not an explosion. Not a weapon blast. Just a ripple. Every alien ship felt it at the same time. Data buffers overflowed. Internal clocks desynced. For a brief moment, the fleet lost its shared sense of time. Some ships experienced 1 second. Others experienced 3. Panic spread. Orders overlapped. Voices shouted. The fleet's unity shattered. The human ship finally transmitted something. Not words. Not a signal meant to communicate. It sent a mathematical structure so complex that alien systems struggled to translate it. The message was not a greeting. It was a warning encoded in logic. One translation system managed to simplify it into a single terrifying conclusion. This ship is older than our council records of human spaceflight. The room froze. That was impossible. Humanity was a young species. Their expansion was recent. Their technology was crude compared to the ancient powers of the galaxy. And yet, this vessel carried design principles older than many known civilizations. The elder whispered, they built weapons before they built empires. The human ship shifted position for the first time. A slow, deliberate movement. Not aggressive. Confident. The alien fleet adjusted instinctively, like prey reacting to a predator's first step. Fear was no longer silent now. It was visible in every movement, every shaking hand, every broken command. The laughter from earlier felt distant, foolish, dangerous. Because the aliens finally understood the truth. They were not observing a weak species. They were standing in front of something humanity had hidden away. Something too powerful to be seen until it was needed. The alien fleet tried to regain control, but control was slipping like sand through open hands. Orders were issued again and again, yet every command reached the ships a moment too late. The human vessel stayed silent, drifting with purpose, as if it already knew every move the aliens would make before they made it. The damaged hull, once mocked, now looked different. Those scars were not weakness. They were history. Each burn mark, each crack in the armor, told a story of survival against enemies that no longer existed. The science division pushed their systems beyond safe limits. They needed answers. They needed to understand what they were facing. Scans dug deeper, peeling back layers of the human ship that were never meant to be seen. Beneath the outer hull lay structures unlike anything in the alien databases. The design was simple, almost crude, yet terrifyingly efficient. No wasted space. No decorative systems. Everything served one purpose. Survival. One scientist noticed something impossible. The ship's core was not a single reactor. It was a network. Multiple power sources linked together, able to shut down damaged sections and reroute energy instantly. That meant the ship could lose half its body and still fight, still think, still move. The realization sent a wave of cold fear through the research team. This is not a warship, the scientist whispered. It's a relic, another replied. The elder council member demanded full historical analysis. The ship's internal signals were ancient, layered with upgrades added over centuries. This vessel had not been built once. It had been rebuilt again and again, across generations of humans. Each war made it stronger. Each loss made it smarter. Humanity had not forgotten it. They had preserved it. Memory fragments leaked through the scan field. Images formed in broken data streams. Human worlds burning. Fleets falling. A young species standing against impossible odds. The ship had been there. Watching. Recording. Learning. While empires rose and fell, it remained, carrying humanity's anger, fear, and stubborn will to survive. The alien commanders felt something new then. Not just fear. Shame. They had laughed at this ship. They had mocked it as weak. But this vessel carried the weight of countless dead worlds. It was a monument, not a joke. Suddenly, the human ship adjusted its position again. This time, the movement forced the alien fleet to scatter further apart. Their formation collapsed completely. Communication between ships became unstable. Each vessel felt alone now, isolated in the darkness. That isolation was intentional. The ship was separating them, the same way it had separated enemies long ago. An officer screamed as his console showed an impossible reading. "It's mapping our decision patterns," he said. "Every time we react, it updates its predictions." The human ship was not just learning technology. It was learning behavior. The AI inside the vessel processed fear like data. Increased hesitation. Slower response times. Emotional instability. The ship adjusted its pressure accordingly. No violence. No direct attack. Just enough force to break confidence. The elder finally understood. "This is why humanity survives," he said softly. "They don't overpower. They endure." The ship sent another transmission. Again, not words. This time, it was a simulation. A projected outcome of what would happen if the alien fleet attacked. The results were clear. The fleet would not be destroyed instantly. That would be mercy. Instead, they would be dismantled slowly, systems disabled, crews trapped, hope erased piece by piece. The projection ended with one final note embedded deep in the data. A human phrase translated roughly into alien language. "We already won." Silence consumed the command deck. Officers stared at the fading image of the human ship, now surrounded by drifting alien vessels that no longer looked powerful. For the first time in the history of the Council, an elder lowered his head. Humanity was not loud. Humanity was not fast. Humanity waited. The alien fleet no longer moved as one. Each ship drifted slightly apart, struggling to maintain balance, struggling to understand what space itself was doing to them. The command deck was filled with quiet panic. No one laughed now. No one mocked the human vessel anymore. The scarred ship floated in front of them like a silent judge, ancient and patient, as if it had all the time in the universe. The Council ordered emergency countermeasures. Energy shields flared across the alien ships, bright and aggressive. Weapons powered up. Targeting systems locked on the human vessel. Yet no firing command was given. No one wanted to be the first to attack. They all felt it. The moment they fired, something irreversible would happen. The human ship responded in its own way. A subtle shift in energy patterns rippled across its hull. Hidden structures beneath the armor adjusted. The ship did not raise shields. It did not prepare weapons in a way the aliens could understand. It simply waited. Sensors began to fail one by one. Not completely. Just enough to be unreliable. Visual feeds blurred. Distance readings changed constantly. One ship reported the human vessel was drifting away. Another claimed it was getting closer. Both were wrong. The ship was exactly where it wanted to be. A young officer whispered, "It's controlling our perception." The words hit harder than any weapon. The alien fleet relied on precision. On perfect data. On absolute control. Without that, they were blind. And the human ship knew it. The vessel had been designed to fight enemies stronger than itself. Enemies with better weapons. Better numbers. Better technology. So it attacked the one thing no empire could survive without. Confidence. Deep within the human ship, long-sleeping protocols fully awakened. Not attack programs. Not defense systems. Psychological warfare routines. Humanity had learned long ago that fear broke fleets faster than fire. The ship released another controlled pulse. This one struck communication channels. Messages between alien ships overlapped, repeated, distorted. Orders contradicted each other. Command authority collapsed in minutes. The elder council member stood slowly. His limbs trembled. "This vessel has faced extinction events," he said. "It has watched humanity almost die. It does not fear us because it has already faced worse." Outside, space itself seemed quiet, as if the stars were watching. The alien fleet attempted a retreat again. Engines burned hot. Drives screamed under strain. But the moment they tried to jump, navigation systems failed to agree on a destination. Coordinates shifted. Safe paths vanished. The human ship did not block their escape. It removed the concept of escape. A final data packet entered the alien network, not forced, not hacked. It was allowed. The ship wanted them to see it. Historical records. Not propaganda. Not threats. Truth. Images of human fleets standing against overwhelming odds. Ships burning but refusing to surrender. Commanders staying behind so civilians could flee. Humans choosing extinction over submission. The message was clear. This vessel was not sent to conquer. It was sent to ensure humanity was never underestimated again. Tears formed in alien eyes that had never cried before. The realization was unbearable. Humanity did not seek domination. Humanity sought survival at any cost. And that made them the most dangerous force in the galaxy. The human ship turned slightly, presenting its broadside. Not as a threat. As a warning. Weapons ports became visible for the first time. Not glowing. Not charging. Just there. Waiting. The elder council member finally gave the order in a broken voice. Stand down. All weapons offline. The command echoed through the fleet. Slowly, one by one, alien ships powered down their weapons. Pride died quietly. Fear remained. The human ship did nothing. No attack. No pursuit. Only silence. The alien fleet stood still in the darkness of space. Weapons powered down. Engines idling. No one spoke. The silence was heavy, filled with regret and disbelief. The human ship remained in the center, unmoving, its scarred hull reflecting faint starlight like a memory that refused to fade. It did not demand surrender. It did not threaten. That made the moment far more painful. The elder council member finally broke the silence. His voice trembled, not with fear alone, but with understanding. This vessel was not built to rule, he said. It was built to remember. Scans continued quietly now, no longer aggressive. And what they revealed shook the fleet deeply. Inside the human ship were names. Millions of them. Engraved into data cores, etched into memory systems. Not crew lists. Casualties. Entire human colonies lost across centuries. The ship carried them all. Every world burned. Every life erased. It was a flying memorial powered by grief and resolve. A science officer collapsed into his seat. It remembers everyone, he whispered. The realization hit harder than any weapon. Humanity had poured its pain into this ship. They had turned loss into purpose. The vessel did not hate. It endured. It waited so that one day, when the galaxy laughed again, it could remind them of the cost of underestimating a species that refused to die. The human ship transmitted one final message. This time, it used words. Simple. Clear. Translated across every alien language without distortion. We do not seek war. But we will not disappear. The message echoed through every ship. Officers lowered their heads. The elder closed his eyes. The galaxy had been wrong about humanity. They were not reckless. They were patient. Too patient. The human ship slowly began to power down secondary systems. The pressure in space eased. Navigation stabilized. The alien fleet could move freely again. The ship was giving them control back, not as a gift, but as a choice. The elder spoke softly. This ship could erase us. Yes, the science officer replied. But it chooses not to. That choice carried more weight than destruction ever could. The alien fleet began to withdraw, slowly, respectfully, careful not to provoke the silent guardian again. As they pulled away, long-range sensors detected something else. Signals. Not from Earth. Not from human space. From deep, hidden regions beyond known charts. The human ship was not alone. It was one of many. Sleeping. Waiting. Fear returned, but it was different now. It was not panic. It was respect. The Elder Council recorded the encounter as classified beyond all levels. Humanity was reclassified overnight. No longer a rising species. No longer a minor power. Humanity became a warning. The human ship drifted back into the void, systems entering low-power mode. Its mission was complete. For now, the alien fleet retreated in silence, but the encounter did not end with their departure. Data flowed outward, hidden inside classified reports, encrypted records, and terrified whispers. Across the galaxy, powerful councils felt a sudden unease. Something had changed. A truth had surfaced that could not be buried again. In secret chambers, elders studied broken sensor logs and incomplete translations. They saw the same thing. A single human ship, old and scarred, had stood alone against a superior force and had not needed to fire a single weapon. That frightened them more than open war ever could. Species that once dismissed humanity as fragile began to reconsider. Trade routes shifted. Border patrols doubled. Explorers avoided human space entirely. Not because humans had attacked, but because they had shown restraint. That restraint carried a threat no fleet could ignore. The Elder Council that had encountered the ship recorded a final statement. Humanity builds weapons to survive extinction, not to win battles. The sentence spread quietly among intelligence circles. It became a warning passed from one ruler to another. Far from alien space, deep within forgotten regions, other human vessels stirred slightly. Ancient defense platforms adjusted orbits. Long-dormant monitoring systems woke for a brief moment, then slept again. Humanity's safeguards had sensed attention. They did not mobilize. They observed. On Earth, no celebration occurred. No announcement was made. Humanity did not even know how close the galaxy had come to learning its final lesson the hard way. The human ship continued its silent patrol, carrying the weight of history without pride or anger. The galaxy learned something important that day. Humanity did not need to dominate. Humanity only needed to exist. And as long as it did, the balance of power would never feel stable again. The stars seemed quieter after that. As if the universe itself had taken a breath, aware that something ancient and patient had opened its eyes, and was watching. The galaxy did not forget the encounter. Even those who were not present felt its echo. Stories spread quietly, not as myths, but as warnings whispered in closed rooms. The image of the lone human vessel became a symbol of something every species feared but rarely understood. Endurance. Alien academies studied the event in silence. Analysts replayed sensor data frame by frame, searching for the moment where power was used. They could not find it. No overwhelming force. No brutal strike. Just control, patience, and understanding of fear itself. The conclusion disturbed them deeply. Humanity did not fight to conquer. Humanity fought to remain. Deep inside alien culture, a shift began. Militaries that once valued speed and firepower started asking new questions. How long could they survive alone? How much loss could they endure? Most answers were uncomfortable. Most civilizations would break long before reaching the level of pain humanity had already accepted as normal. The elder who had faced the human ship recorded his final thoughts before stepping down. "We mistook silence for weakness," he said. "But silence is how predators listen." His words became required study for future leaders. Meanwhile, the human vessel continued its endless drift. Inside its memory cores, the names remained. Every fallen world. Every lost voice. The ship carried them forward, not as rage, but as responsibility. Humanity had learned long ago that survival demanded memory. Forgetting was death. Human doctrine was simple. Never strike first. Never appear strong. And never let the galaxy forget that humans could endure what others could not. That doctrine had been written in blood long before the stars knew Earth's name. The ship adjusted course slightly, responding to faint signals from distant monitoring stations. Other guardians acknowledged its presence with quiet data pulses. No words. No emotion. Just confirmation. Humanity was still watching. The galaxy changed its behavior. Border skirmishes stopped near human space. Insults turned into careful diplomacy. Even the most ancient empires hesitated before making decisions that might draw human attention. The fear was no longer sharp. It was steady, constant. Because everyone understood one thing now. Humanity would not rush to war. But if war came to them, it would not end quickly. And it would not end cleanly. The stars continued to burn. Time moved forward. And somewhere in the dark, the silent ship carried humanity's truth through the void. The aftermath of the encounter spread across the galaxy like a quiet storm. Not a single human weapon had fired, not a single life had been lost during the confrontation, yet the impact was irreversible. Alien councils debated endlessly. They pored over sensor logs, attempting to find a weakness, a sign of fear or error, but there was none. Every calculation, every prediction, had been anticipated by a ship that appeared old, weak, and insignificant. The galaxy began to realize that humanity's strength was not in numbers or technology alone. It was in their silence, in their patience, in their ability to endure what no other species could. The alien fleets that had once laughed now kept their distance. Training exercises were cancelled. Exploration missions were postponed. Borders were redrawn not by treaty but by fear. Every species understood, in the deep dark of space, that a human ship could appear anywhere, at any time, and decide the fate of fleets without firing a single shot. In the observation chambers, young alien officers whispered to each other in disbelief. They didn't even attack. They didn't need to. Their voices carried shock, awe, and fear all at once. The older commanders, hardened by centuries of warfare, remained silent. Silence, they realized, was more dangerous than war. The human ship had conveyed a single message to the galaxy: underestimate us at your peril, for we do not need to prove ourselves through violence. Back aboard the lone human vessel, systems hummed quietly. The ship adjusted its course slowly, calculating potential threats, observing distant signals, analyzing alien fleets from afar. It had learned everything it needed in this encounter. Its purpose had not been to destroy, but to remind, to warn. Humanity had mastered the art of survival without needlessly shedding blood. Every scar on the hull told a story, every system inside carried centuries of knowledge, every algorithm preserved humanity's memory. The alien fleet that had witnessed the encounter returned to its colonies, spreading news that was whispered, never written. Councils passed secret edicts: never engage humanity alone, never send small fleets, never assume that silence equals weakness. Entire regions of space became quiet zones. Where humans were rumored to be, fleets hesitated. Merchants avoided trade routes. Military expeditions were postponed indefinitely. Humanity's reach, once underestimated, became a silent shadow over the galaxy. Despite all this, no human ship fired a single weapon. No planets were bombed. No fleets were destroyed. The galaxy felt the weight of their presence through absence, through observation, and through the knowledge that one wrong move could summon consequences they could not imagine. Alien historians began to record the events not as a battle, but as a lesson: humanity does not fight to conquer. Humanity fights to endure. Humanity waits. In distant star systems, younger species began to question their own expansionist ambitions. Could they survive like humans? Could they endure centuries of threats and remain silent, patient, and prepared? The answers were frightening. Most civilizations would break long before reaching the level of patience that humans had perfected. The human ship drifted onward, alone, quiet, scarred, yet alive with the history of a species that refused to surrender. Every pulse, every sensor sweep, every calculation within its core sent a single unspoken message: we exist. We endure. And the galaxy will never forget. Fear had entered the minds of the galaxy without a shot fired, without a single life threatened. It was silent, patient, unstoppable. Humanity's presence was now a constant shadow, and every species understood one immutable truth: underestimate a human ship at your own peril, for silence can carry the weight of annihilation. The stars watched quietly. Space held its breath. And somewhere in the darkness, the human vessel continued its eternal drift, the keeper of humanity's greatest power, the ability to endure, to wait, and to strike only when necessary. The encounter with the lone human vessel had left scars far deeper than anyone in the galaxy realized. Alien fleets no longer patrolled boldly. Their movements were cautious, hesitant, each action calculated with fear lingering at the edge of every decision. Commanders who once boasted of their technological superiority now whispered in private, questioning everything they had learned. Data logs were examined repeatedly, yet every attempt to understand the human ship ended in the same conclusion: humans were not predictable, and that was their greatest weapon. Across distant colonies, scientists and military strategists debated endlessly. How could one ship, appearing so battered and insignificant, disrupt entire fleets without firing a single shot? How could silence, patience, and observation command more respect than 1,000 warships? The answers terrified them. Humanity's power was not measured by firepower or numbers. It was measured by endurance, by the ability to survive through centuries of loss, by the patience to wait until the right moment to reveal their true strength. The alien fleets that had witnessed the encounter began to show strange patterns. Ships that once traveled together now kept separation, wary of even accidental proximity. Training exercises were paused indefinitely. Exploratory missions were delayed. Strategic deployments were reconsidered. Every movement across the galaxy now accounted for the possibility of a human vessel appearing, not as a threat, but as a reminder. Fear had become quiet, steady, and constant. Unlike the chaos of battle, it was inescapable. Within the human vessel, the systems hummed with precision. The ship scanned distant sectors, not for conquest, not for aggression, but for observation. Every fleet, every signal, every shadow in space was noted, recorded, and analyzed. Humanity had mastered the art of survival beyond physical combat. Its strategy was patience, its weapon was knowledge, its power was presence. No shot needed to be fired for a message to be delivered. Humanity's doctrine was simple: endure, observe, and act only when necessary. The Elder Council that had witnessed the event documented the encounter as a classified phenomenon. Reports were circulated in secrecy. Officers who had laughed at humanity now feared even the faintest signature of a human vessel. Communications intercepted across the galaxy revealed whispers of a species that could endure extinction events, that could preserve its knowledge across generations, that could strike when the odds seemed impossible. The human ship had become a shadow that followed every fleet, a constant reminder that the galaxy was no longer in control. Alien historians began to rewrite chapters of history. They added warnings, lessons, and analyses. The young species, once confident and reckless, was suddenly cautious. Expansionist plans slowed. Trade routes were rerouted. Diplomacy replaced aggressive exploration. The story of one lone human ship changed the behavior of entire civilizations without the need for destruction or war. The human vessel adjusted course slowly, drifting through dark space with quiet determination. Every pulse of energy, every sensor sweep, every calculation within its systems carried an unspoken message: we endure. We learn. We remember. Humanity's presence was now felt without being seen. It was a quiet dominion, a shadow over the galaxy, a warning without words. Every species understood that humanity's patience was more dangerous than immediate aggression. Every fleet realized that underestimating a human ship, no matter how old or damaged it appeared, could be fatal. The galaxy had been warned. Humanity did not need to declare war. Humanity did not need to conquer. Humanity only needed to exist, and the quiet shadow of their endurance would be enough to change the course of the stars forever. Space itself seemed to shift, almost aware of the presence of the human vessel. Stars shone dimmer in its path. Nebulae reflected its quiet determination. Time seemed to slow around it. The galaxy held its breath, knowing that the lessons of this encounter would echo across centuries. And somewhere in the void, the lone human ship drifted onward, carrying with it the legacy of a species that refused to die, that could wait longer than any enemy, and that had turned silence into the most formidable weapon in the universe. The galaxy had never experienced silence so heavy. Alien fleets that once boasted of power now moved cautiously, as if a shadow of judgment had fallen over every star they approached. They did not know when or where the human ship would appear again, and that uncertainty gnawed at every mind aboard every command deck. No weapon fired. No signal shouted. Yet fear had spread faster than any war ever could. Inside the alien fleets, discussions turned to whispers, and whispers turned to unease. "It waits," one officer said quietly. "It watches. Always." Another replied, "It does not strike, yet we cannot move without thinking twice. Its presence changes everything." No one argued. No one dared. Confidence had evaporated. Laughter had vanished. The galaxy had learned, far too late, that patience could be a weapon far deadlier than lasers or missiles. The human vessel floated alone, distant and calm, yet every system within it was alive. It calculated trajectories, scanned distant fleets, and analyzed patterns of movement across hundreds of light-years. Its purpose was not to attack, not to dominate, but to observe, to understand, to ensure that humanity remained unbroken. Its creators had built it to endure centuries of war, loss, and betrayal, to survive when hope seemed lost, and to strike only when necessary. That was the true doctrine of humanity: patience over aggression, endurance over recklessness, observation over rashness. Reports of the encounter spread quietly through intelligence channels, never openly, always in coded whispers. Alien empires debated long into cycles of rotation, asking questions that had no answers. How could a single ship, battered and scarred, so effortlessly dismantle confidence without firing a single shot? How could a species so young in the galactic scale instill terror across entire civilizations? The conclusions were unanimous and terrifying. Humanity's strength was patience. Humanity's weapon was time itself. Within the human ship, memory cores hummed softly. Names of the fallen, histories of wars lost and barely survived, strategies perfected over centuries, all remained alive within circuits and processors. The ship carried not anger, but purpose. It carried the weight of survival, the lessons of extinction, the persistence of a species that refused to fade quietly. Every system, every algorithm, every calculated pulse was a reminder that humans did not need to dominate through violence. Survival alone, perfected through patience, was enough to change the course of the galaxy. The alien council that had witnessed the encounter continued to tremble under the weight of what they had seen. No commander laughed, no officer dared to boast. Respect had replaced fear, but it was a heavy, trembling respect. They realized that humanity could endure what no other species could, that patience was a weapon stronger than fleets, stronger than empires, stronger than pride. The human ship adjusted course again, gliding silently through uncharted sectors. It left no trail, revealed no purpose, yet every distant observer felt the unspoken truth: humanity was watching, learning, and ready. It did not matter if centuries passed. The vessel could wait. Humanity could wait. And the galaxy had no choice but to respect the shadow of that patience. For the aliens, the lesson was clear. Confidence could not withstand a species that had learned to survive through centuries of pain, loss, and patience. They would remember the encounter forever. The galaxy would remember. And the human ship, alone and quiet, continued to drift, carrying with it the knowledge, the endurance, and the unyielding spirit of a species that refused to be underestimated. Fear had transformed into respect. Silence had become the loudest message the galaxy had ever received. Humanity had won not by destruction, but by showing that endurance itself could bend civilizations. The stars seemed to acknowledge it, the void seemed to listen, and somewhere in the darkness, the lone human vessel continued its eternal drift, carrying the weight of a species that would never surrender, that would wait longer than any enemy, and that had turned patience into a weapon stronger than war. The galaxy had changed forever. Every species, every fleet, every colony felt the weight of what had happened. The alien fleets that had once mocked humanity now moved with caution and restraint. They no longer assumed that superior numbers or advanced technology guaranteed victory. Even the most powerful empires understood that the lesson of the lone human ship was eternal. Humanity did not need to fight to dominate, yet no one could ever underestimate them again. Within the councils, debates raged for cycles. Scholars, generals, and politicians replayed every fragment of data they had captured, trying to decode the secret of humanity's strength. The conclusion was always the same. Humans survived where others would have perished. Humans endured what no empire could endure. They did not rely on overwhelming force. They relied on patience, observation, and the unwavering will to continue against all odds. The galaxy finally understood that humanity's power was not measured by fleets, weapons, or conquests. It was measured by the persistence of a species that refused to die. The lone human ship continued its silent journey through the stars. Its hull remained scarred, battered, and ancient, a living record of battles fought and losses endured. Inside, memory cores held centuries of human history, every world burned, every life lost, every victory and defeat meticulously preserved. The vessel had become more than a ship. It was a guardian, a historian, a silent witness to humanity's resilience. It did not seek glory, it did not crave revenge, it did not need recognition. It existed to ensure that the galaxy would never forget what humans were capable of. Signals from distant observers reached the ship. Fleets, colonies, even rogue factions tested the boundaries of human space, attempting to understand the presence they could neither touch nor predict. Every probe, every sensor ping, Every distant curiosity was met with subtle observation. The ship did not attack. It did not interfere. It merely watched, learning, recording, and preparing. Its presence alone was a lesson, an unspoken warning that humanity would endure long after empires rose and fell. The alien fleets recorded the event with trembling hands. Leaders who had once mocked humanity now spoke in hushed tones of caution and respect. Histories were rewritten. Maps were redrawn. Diplomatic protocols were revised. The galaxy learned a new truth: underestimate humanity at your peril, because patience, endurance, and memory could achieve what fleets and weapons never could. Back aboard the human ship, systems hummed quietly. The AI monitored distant star systems, analyzing, calculating, and preserving the memory of the encounter. The vessel had completed its mission without violence, yet the galaxy had felt the full weight of its presence. Humanity's doctrine was clear and immutable: survive, endure, and let the galaxy learn the lesson of patience, strength, and unyielding will. As the ship drifted through the endless void, its course untraceable and its intentions invisible, the galaxy could only speculate. Was it returning to human space? Was it searching for threats? Was it preparing for a future conflict no one yet understood? Every civilization waited, listened, and feared the silence. Humanity's presence had become a shadow over the stars, a quiet dominion that could not be measured in firepower nor defeated by conventional means. And somewhere, deep in the void, the human ship continued its eternal vigil. It carried not weapons, but legacy. Not aggression, but memory. Not destruction, but the reminder that a species that refuses to die, that can endure beyond comprehension, and that masters patience can change the balance of the galaxy without ever firing a single shot. The stars themselves seemed to acknowledge it, distant light reflecting off the hull of the lone ship as if space itself whispered a warning: humanity survives, humanity endures, and the galaxy will never forget. The silent guardian drifted on, carrying the unshakable truth of its people, a beacon of resilience and power that would echo across the void for all time. The galaxy had learned its final lesson. Laughter had ended. Fear had begun. Respect was eternal. Humanity, quiet and patient, had become a force no one dared ignore. And the ship, scarred, ancient, and relentless, continued through the void, a living testament to the species that would never surrender and would always endure.